I was fortunate to have a father who believed in the power of our minds and positive thinking before positive thinking was positive. He taught us that you can be and do anything you put your mind to. Now, when I was a kid, I loved pancakes. My dream was to grow up and work in a pancake restaurant. When I was 15, I got my first job as a busboy at a Bickford's Pancake House. My father asked me, Scott, now that you've achieved all of your goals, what are you going to do next? Well, somehow I had an artistic talent, and I decided I'm going to be an artist when I grow up. Well, I developed those skills. I went on beyond high school to become a graphic designer and illustrator for 3 years in the Army. I went to college where I got 2 degrees in art. I moved into advertising and corporations where I became the art director. I've now created a children's book. Some of the other things, I got a black belt in martial arts when I was young. I have done plenty of things because I believed I could do it. My father, somehow 50 years ago, knew that we become what we believe ourselves to be. The people that came around him were influenced to move on with their dreams. Now, my girlfriend Mary Ann, she has a different kind of story. Mary Ann, her family was in a car accident when she was only 5 years old. She hit her head on the dome light on the ceiling. As a result, she got a small scar in her brain, which created epileptic seizures throughout her life. There were times as a teenager when she was having as many as 30 seizures a month. She was bullied by kids in school. She was called a spaz and freak. She had doctors who told her she was uncontrollable. Well, Mary Ann, as a child, her dream was to become a teacher. In fact, as a kid, she would set up a desk with books on it, and out in front of her, she put her stuffed animals and her dolls, and any pets that happened to come walking into the room could be taught the lesson of the day. She had this dream. Her parents were not so encouraging. They told her, you know, you probably shouldn't bother with college. I don't know if you can become a teacher. Perhaps you should just collect disability. That would be the best thing. Well, I'm so proud of Mary Ann. Instead, she went on to get a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, to become a professor in a college. She's now writing a book to encourage others to reach for their dreams. When you asked Mary Ann, what inspired you? Who was your influence? She said, it was the people I saw with disabilities that were worse than mine who did not give up. You may know the story of Thomas Edison. At least you know that he was a great inventor. He invented the first light bulb, the incandescent light bulb. In fact, it's said that he failed over 10,000 times before he created a light bulb that worked. He also invented the phonograph, the first alkaline battery. Thomas Edison has over 1,093 patents in his name, still to this day. What you may not know is that Thomas Edison was born the 7th of 7 kids, and when he was born, he only had 10% of his hearing. He was almost deaf. As a result, he did not speak his first words until he was 4 years old. And the first words out of his mouth were, why? You ever known a kid that says, why, why, why? That was Thomas Edison. He was inquisitive. He didn't start school until he was 7 years old, and then he went to a one-room schoolhouse with 38 other children who ranged in age from 6 to 17 years old, and there were 2 teachers in that schoolhouse. He was there for 12 weeks when he came home with a letter addressed to Thomas Edison's mother only. He handed it to his mother, and while she read it, he stood there and said, "What's it say, Mom? What's it say?" Well, she read it and then read it back to him, and she said, "Well, Tom, this says that you are a genius, that this school does not have teachers who are qualified to teach you, and they're asking me to keep you home and teach you." From that point on, Thomas Edison and his mother were seen at the local library several times a week. It wasn't until several years later Thomas Edison had achieved his success when his mother passed away. He and his siblings were going through her belongings and somebody came across her desk with a locked drawer. When they opened it up, they found in the back of the drawer a note folded up that said, "To Thomas Edison's mother only." They opened up and read it, and it said, "Dear Mrs. Edison, Thomas is a delinquent and a problem child. He is hereby expelled. We don't want him back at our school." That night, Thomas Edison wrote in his journal, "Thomas A. Edison was a mentally deficient child. Thanks to his mother, he became the genius of the century." Now, we become what we believe ourselves to be. What are you doing to influence others around you, especially children? Praise and encourage kids to follow their dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave you with the words of my father. You can be and do anything you put your mind to. Here's Toastmaster.